I'm Jamie from Jamie and Tarot. Welcome to our journey through the major arcana. Today we're going to start with the Fool card. I'm going to first show you a more traditional version of the Fool card so that you can understand what the traditional meaning is, and then we will go through a couple of my favorite decks so that I can show you how you can start reading your cards intuitively and picking up more messages this way. So first we'll show you, this is called the Rider-Waite card. It's a deck. It's also called sometimes a Rider-Smith. I think there's a couple different names for the Rider-Waite. And this deck came out in the early 1900s, and it's what I consider to be a more traditional meaning. It has rules to it, and we'll go through some of that. So we're going to start with the Fool card. The Fool card is the 0 card. It is also considered to be the Fool's journey, and it's the Fool that goes through each step in the major arcana, and that's why he's 0. So if we look at these cards, there's a couple things that stick out to me is the yellow background, which I always look at what is pulling my attention to get a reading from a card. So the yellow background represents, in the traditional meaning, illumination and inspiration. It could also mean danger. So this Fool, as he's going along his way, that's what, if someone pulled this card, those are a couple different meanings you could get from their traditional card. He's also stepping off of this cliff, and it's unsure whether he's stepping off into the next step or if he's stepping off the cliff to meet doom. And then also there's a dog that's white. His flower is white in his hand. The sun is white. And this represents purity and innocence, and just all things that the Fool means along his journey. And if you also notice that he's got a very small bag, showing that he's carrying very little luggage along with him. Now, if you do like to know the traditional meaning of the card, and there are other meanings of the cards, you can get certain books. I in particular use this book called the Rider-Waite Ultimate Guide to the Rider-Waite deck. I do like to know what the traditional meaning is. It just helps me to have a fuller understanding of what the cards mean. However, I do like to read intuitively. I did want to show you another deck that you can use if you do like to know their traditional meaning. I don't tend to like to use this deck because it has a lot of words on it, and it draws me away from picking up things intuitively. But this deck is by Kat Pierce. It's very beautiful. And it says right at the top, she has words on all of her cards, and this one says purity, potential, risk, innocence, desire. So that is the traditional meaning of the card. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how I like to read. Like I said, I do like to know that traditional version, but I also like to pick up intuitively. And I have 2 decks in particular that I like to use. One of them is the Curious Creatures by Chrisanne. This is my go-to deck. I just love it. It really speaks to me. So we will look at this deck first. And the Fool for this deck, it's actually called Fool 2.0. And in this one, it's a dog, and he's in a bathing suit, or she, and ready to jump off. So it still has a lot of the same meanings. The white legs representing purity, the feather in it that is left on the cliff. But this dog is not, to me, I get the feeling that he's not dipping his toe in, he's jumping full into. So if I pulled this card for a sitter, I would say, you're ready to jump. You're not dipping your toe into the waters anymore. You're ready to jump in full, knowing that ready for whatever comes your way. And you can also see down here, it has a little glow. This probably represents the sun from the traditional cards. But to me, he's jumping towards something and he's not afraid. Okay. I also love the Dark Mansion Tarot. This is by Tarot Tech. And this is also a go-to deck of mine. And how the Fool card is represented here, he looks more like a clown. He looks like he's not intentionally jumping off. Though it is green pastures, you can see a little bit more of the deck of the cliff that he's on, and whether that next step is down there and he'll land safely is unsure. And this little dog here is trying to hold the Fool back. So if I pulled this particular card in a reading, I would say you need to look forward more and see what is ahead of you before you just dive in. You need to look at everything, where that next step might be or where it might not be, because sometimes you do need to just take the leap of faith. But this little dog is very, very much trying to hold back the Fool from jumping off the cliff. And he's just having a grand old time, not worried about where he's going or what he's doing. Okay, the next deck I'm going to show you today, share with you, is the Wild Unknown Tarot. And in this, the Fool card is represented by a little chick that's on a branch. So if this card came up in my reading and the person was considering going to a new, something new, a new adventure in their life, this to me looks like this chick needs to at some point learn to fly. You can't just hang out on the branch all day. He needs to learn to fly as part of growing up, as part of their life. So this one, it's a little bit less risk, and it's more of the feeling around this card is more of growing pains, and you might be nervous to jump, but it is the next step and you need to take that leap. And finally, I'm going to show you today the Ethereal Visions deck. And this Fool card has a lot of similarities to the traditional, where he's on, it's a man, he's on the cliff. There's the dog. The dog's not trying to hold him back. He does have small luggage with him, but he's enjoying life. Look at his body language. He's enjoying life. We can't see further down on to see if he'll land on another step or fall off the cliff. But he does have, if he does go off the cliff, he does have the umbrella, which even if he falls down the cliff, the umbrella will provide support, like a parachute. So if I got this card in a reading, I might say that you might fall, but you do have a parachute. So it might be worth a risk. And as you start reading cards, the meanings of the cards will change. Maybe the sun becomes more significant in the card. Maybe it's where things are starting to change, where everything was sunny, then everything was very cloudy, and now the sun is starting to come out again, so it's time to take the leap of faith. So take a look at your decks that you have, if you collect decks, or if you maybe just have one or two, and let me know what your favorite decks are. I'd love to hear it, or what your interpretations of the Fool card is. Thank you. We'll see you next time when we talk about the Magician.